Sanje Jeda Zujo La Jeda Bada Gaji, Dagi Jido give us on a key, Jola Pinches and Joe Basho, Sanje Joe Da Jeda Bada Gaji, Dagi Jido give us on a key. Jola Pinches, Sanje, Joe Basho, Sanje, Jeda Zujo Da Jeda Bada Gaji, Dagi Jido give us on a key, Jola Pinches and Joe Basho, Panding Haji, Mujidu Gane, Ravaji, Shugi Jabo, Gujin, Dawson, and Giovanni, Namazin, Namazin, Xi Jinping, Joe, Lord, Kansan, Japan, habits of a good Lansha, you want to your Nazo, Mezo, Donkey, do Bonga, Jijo, Bonsha, Johnson, Shabbat. Target to maintain somebody longer, easy to Jidaji about the Mazun, Hidden German Doubles, he made the Mother German Church about the Junction, Moboji and Lanzama Latin, some Yango, Jason, Lama, Damba, Nangi, Joe, Balajin, Nature, the Zambi, Zamala, Juju, Namda, say, Yanajima, is Nukuna Chata, Megaya, Damahazuka, Bani City, but in the time Basho, Dazo, Jinisami, Gamadi, and Drokuna Gamada, Jabba, Jason, Lozan, Java, Yitambi, importing to Sashi, Show. Sashi, Puji, Yushi, Medradari, the Sini, Gamadi, Sanji, the Mise, Owaye, Drogona, Zena, Basho, Ida Maguru, Rana, Mandela, Gandera, Yataya, me. Mime, Tebe, Jason Genesis, Jimmy Game, Omajamaya, Dubamai, Johnson, Samada, Kaji, Zongaba, Los Angeles, Samada, Mime, Tebe, Jason Genesis, Jimmy Game, Omajamaya, Dubamai, Johnson, Samada. Kanji gave a Jizonga about Los Angeles, some of the Mime, Genesis, Jimmy Game, Omajamayan, Dubamai, Johnson, Samada, Kanji gave a Jizonga about Los Angeles, so one day. Pende Sawala Madamonji, Dagini, Pement and Jula, Kadija Mongoni, Kusun, Monjazo, Pende Sawala Madamonji, Dagini, Pement and Jula, Kadija Mongoni, Choton the Mongon Mazo, Pende Sawala Madamonji, Dagini, Pement and Jula, Kadija Mongoni, Janjini, Bobadu Tam, Bara, Show. Masa Chemishera Paroshe, Mashimagana, Goni, Soso, issue, Duzuka, Yuna Chazel, Teada, Kadeka, the Paraka, the Parasanga, the Body, Soha. Teya da gade gade para sanga de bodi soha. Teya da gade gade para sanga de bodi soha. Teya da gade para sanga de bodi soha. Goma arabazana di. Lamadan go bajis jamayana cha salamu alaikum. Umara bazana di Okay. Now, there are two things that we need to keep in mind when it comes to receiving the Dharma teaching. One is when we come in the face of the Dharma, we have to come in all humility, the teacher and the students. The reason we come in humility is in a secular world, we have to assert that we are confident. We have to assert that we are right, that we know what we're doing, that we're always on top of things, and we're always perfect. And that gets us jobs. It fills our rice bowl. In the secular world, we always have to project a confident, strong, I know what I'm doing and don't be wrong kind of aura. And when someone tells us we're wrong or someone tells us this is not right, we kind of say to them, oh, you're judging me. You're putting me down. You're degrading me. You're not respecting who I am. But you see, we shouldn't have that kind of attitude when we come to the Dharma. Because if we are so above judgment. We are so above any sort of improvement, then we are even higher than the Buddha. Then we are better than the Buddha. So when we listen to the Buddha's teachings, when we listen to it as criticism, anger arises, unhappiness, a sense of sadness, a sense of maybe feeling uncomfortable. When we listen to the Buddha's teachings, realizing that we are not Buddhas, I am not a Buddha, you are not a Buddha, and we have plenty of room to become a Buddha, then the Dharma teachings become something that's like nectar. Something like when we want to dig gold out from the ground, and instead of just us going there and digging, someone shows us, this is where the gold might be. Don't dig there. This is rocky. This one's a little dangerous. This one might have a lot of stones. Use this tool. Use that tool. Use this machinery. Come at this time of the day. Maybe water at first. Maybe soften the ground. And so when someone shows us how to dig the gold out, when we dig the gold out, it's very easy. Easier. Whereas if we say, well, I know what I'm doing. You can't tell me what I'm doing. I know everything, and you can't explain to me because we're the same. If you have that attitude, you go and dig, of course you'll find the gold eventually, but with more difficulties. So therefore, when we approach the Dharma, when we approach our teachers, this is how we are taught in the monasteries. We approach our teachers, and the teachers themselves have a sense of humility when they're teaching the Dharma. The students have a sense of humility when they're receiving the Dharma. And the reason for that is both teacher and the ones being taught are listening to something that is beyond secular knowledge. Much more beyond just making money, just the next day, just surviving, just the next investment, just the next relationship is way beyond that. That's one. Second thing is, we have to recognize in ourselves, we do have a lot of anger. We do have a lot of hostility. We do have a lot of regrets and confusion. And we are sad. We are kind of heading to a direction that always not sure. There's a lot of unhappiness in our lives. And when we think of that, it's not a negativity. It is not a statement. It is not a words to judge us. It is something that actually looks at something factually. If you come to someone's house and you say, hey, I don't really like this color, but I think it will suit you and it's nice and I like it for you. That's very nice. Hey, I don't like this color, you got bad taste. That's judgmental. See, both can be you like or don't like. But it's a matter of our attitude. So similarly, when we receive the Dharma, we have to realize, and this is what it says in the Lam Rim, we have these qualities in us that need to be transformed. We have these qualities in us that can be improved. And so therefore, we humbly seek to listen to the Buddha's teachings with the attitude of humility, wanting to learn, and free from the three faulty pots. One pot is it is down. Whatever you put on it, whatever you put into it, it just falls to the side. Nothing goes in. So that is likened to a closed mind. So should you be a fanatic? Just open it up and, whatever comes in, just receive it? Also not. You can have a filter. But the point is not to be closed, open but with a filter. Which means, everything that the Dharma teacher tells us, everything that this guru tells us, we have to believe. It is the way. It is no other way. No. Also not that way. Open mind doesn't mean accepting something without checking. Open mind means to be open to a new idea and be receptive to receiving it and checking it out. When you receive a new idea, it doesn't mean you need to accept it on the moment. It means to be open to listen to another idea in order that you can go check it out later. What's the difference? People who are closed, they won't even listen. There's nothing to check out later. So they stay in this little narrow self-imposed box, which creates a lot of anger. So when we're open to something, it is not that you accept it. It is you are open to examine it further to see if it fits you. So the way we listen to the Dharma teachings, the first way is free from the first of the pots, which is down, which is a closed mind. Second one is a pot that is cracked. Why? Whatever you pour in, it'll come out. That means during Dharma talks to be distracted with meaningless affairs. Our telephones, our appointments, our friends, maybe a relationship, maybe some food, maybe some appointment, maybe we're sleepy, maybe we're tired. We have to think. Receiving a Dharma talk is so rare. Receiving the Dharma is so rare. Out of all the activities that we do, actually, knowledge is the key to happiness. So if we have someone or some method, which is the Dharma, that can give us knowledge, it is the most well-spent time we can ever live for. The more knowledge we have, the more information we have, the more we can apply it, and the more we can improve ourselves. Life is about improving ourselves. So therefore, to not be distracted by affairs, and not to have our mind somewhere else, or feeling sleepy, or not able to discipline ourselves, is to have a pot that's not cracked, where information goes out. Third of the pots is if we put poison inside. Whatever delicious foods, well cooked and prepared and with a lot of love and care, put inside, it's still not edible. It's poison. Meaning, to come to a Dharma talk with the wrong motivation. Maybe, and this sounds a little funny, but it happens. I've been in Dharma for 30 years. I think I'll go to the center because there's a pretty girl there. And I want to sit next to a pretty girl. And I'm going to look really good. And I've had people here who do that too. And I'm going to sit in a Dharma talk and do Dharma activities to look good, to impress her, to win her over. That's the same as a poison in the pot where you put the precious Dharma in. He's not here for the Dharma. She's not here for the Dharma. It's another motive. Or, well, maybe it's my company and I need to do some charitable work. Let me just show up there and bear the 2-3 hours. And then afterwards, I'll look good. I'll write it on my CV and whatever, and then I can move on. That is wrong motivation. Or some people have afflicting spirits, negative energy, sickness. Or they have something that they want to accomplish and they want to use the Dharma in its incredible ways to accomplish those small ends. Sickness, business are small ends compared to if we can get attained, we can become enlightened. If we can become enlightened, all those things become very small because they're wiped away in a second. So when we learn the Dharma, and it's just for small ends, it's like meeting the President of the United States, as I always say. And he says, you can have anything you want in America. Anything. No limits. $20 billion, a whole state, you want to be the next president, whatever. You can take whatever you want. And he says to him, okay, I like to have a toothpick. What? That's it? I like to have a meal at Tony Roma's. I like to, maybe have a free overnight stay at the boardwalk. Well, there's no more boardwalk. But anyways, at the boardwalk, when it was existing. And because my mother used to love to go to the boardwalk when I was a kid. With her friends, they rent buses, they go for bingo at the boardwalk. Anyways, it was a big deal, and they stay overnight, and there's all you can eat, and they love it, the working class ladies. Anyways, to have the right motivation. I do suffer. I suffer in ways that I know, and I suffer in ways I don't know. And I create suffering for others. And I create suffering for people that I love. And I create suffering continuously. And sometimes I don't even know it. And I want to do something about it now. Therefore, I wish to achieve something higher, better than what I've been doing. I want to achieve something much better and higher than what I've been doing. I want to achieve the timeless and deathless state of a fully enlightened Buddha. So I will not listen to the Dharma teachings to gain wealth. I will not listen to Dharma teachings to just heal or accomplish a goal or get a job or eliminate spirits or to even look good. I'm going to listen to the Dharma in order to find a method to transform my mind in a revolutionary way. In a way as taught, exemplified, and shown by the perfect Buddha. And whether people will believe the mystical side of Buddhism or not, that doesn't matter. But the historical side is there. Buddha was a person. He did exist. He was a great sage. He was a great teacher. He was a great master. He's recognized throughout the world as a great master, as a great teacher, as a great sage. That one, everyone of all religions, every country can agree. That's a historical fact. But that's not something mysterious. So therefore, I will listen to the Buddha's teachings in order to transform and change my life. Transform and change my mind. This is the reason. So when we come for teachings, my great teacher, who I lived with in Los Angeles for 8 years, said we must develop that type of mind. When we develop that type of mind, we develop that type of motivation, then our mind opens to listen. So he always says motivation, action, dedication, and it seals whatever we're doing for something better. So therefore, when I spoke with Russell 2 weeks ago, I expressed I would like to share some mind training teachings with you, specifically the Bodhisattva Chaidavatana. There are a whole bunch of mind training teachings. Mind training teachings specifically means to learn, unlearn, relearn with our mind. Unlearn doesn't mean we're bad. It just means we can find a better method. So what I chose was the specific mind-trained set of teachings. The mindset-trained teachings are very strong in Tibetan Buddhism because our form of Buddhism stresses very much transformation, change. Why? Allison can throw something at me. It bursts, makes me, a cup makes me wet, and I can be very upset. What a horrible, rude, nasty, unpleasant person you are. How dare you make me feel so uncomfortable? Or you can throw it at me, and I change my view. I wonder what's disturbing her. I wonder what makes such a lovely lady do something so rude and embarrass herself and make everything so unpleasant. What's inside of her that's making her so unhappy? So how I look at it is how we turn the situation. If we had mind training teachings and we practice it, we will look at all situations in a second scenario. If we don't have mind training teachings, we might look at certain things in the first scenario, which is anger. Anger immediately. Immediately anger. Why? How dare you? What for? What's going on? Are you crazy? Second way, what happened to you? Are you okay? You're not so concerned about your being wet or something was thrown at you. You're more concerned, what happened to that person? It's the same situation. Same wetness. Everything the same, but my mind turned it around. And is that possible? It is. Why is it possible? By listening to Dharma teachings, we can understand that and turn our minds around. Because our minds became the way it was over years of training. We weren't born like this. We were born pretty much a slate. So it took years for our mind to train this way. We didn't become like this. We were all 15, 18, 21, idealistic, starry-eyed, everything's perfect, everything's fabulous, everything's wonderful. It's over time we become a little jaded, if we have become jaded. It's over time we develop anger and dissatisfaction, regrets. So therefore, if our mind can train to have that kind of attitude, of course it can train to have another attitude. But some people say to me, Rinpoche, I'm too old. I'm already set in my ways. I'm stuck. So I say to them, that's your projection. You see, according to the Bodhisattva's teachings, Bodhisattva's ideal way of life, as taught by Shantideva in Bodhisattva Chaidavatana on the Bodhi mind or Bodhicitta, it says very clearly, the mind is timeless. When we die, our body is left behind. It is components given to us by the result of our karma. But our mind continues. Whatever we have learned, not learned, or accumulated with our mind, it continues into our next life. So, that one may be a little bit hard to accept in the beginning. In the beginning, maybe a little bit hard to accept. But for someone who understands Dharma and reincarnation, it helps a lot. Let me tell you why. If your mind becomes old, then when you're born as a baby, you should be very old already. Your mind cannot learn. Because you didn't come from a young body, you came from an old body. Let's say that if you lived a ripe life in your previous life. So if your previous life you died at 80, when you come back, your mind should be even slower because now you're 81. And then add another 80 years to that. If you live that long, then you're 160. Then add another 81 and so on. So therefore, when you come back as a child, you should be very old. You should think old, cannot adjust, even more rigid, even more narrow. Why? Because you're old. But in the mind training teachings, in Bodhisattva's, in Shantideva's teachings, it says you actually know. Your body becomes old. And true, your faculties can slow down, but your mind doesn't slow down. Your mind and your faculties are related, but not one. I repeat, your mind and your faculties, eyes, ears, speech, smell, taste, and touch, the 5 aggregates. Listening, sound, hearing, smell, eye, sight, taste, and touch are called the 5 aggregates. The 5 aggregates are related to you, but they're not a part of you. Why? Because mind can exist without body. Mind can function without body. Mind can travel without body. Mind can move things, or learn, or see without body. Hence, the body's like a hotel room, just like what you're renting now in KL. If your hotel room's wonderful, you can do more. If there's no electricity, no fax, no email, no internet, no Wi-Fi, you're back to writing postcards. So if your hotel's not good, it doesn't reflect you. It's your hotel. Similarly, if your body is not wonderful, it doesn't reflect your mind. Because your mind and your body are connected and they have a temporary relationship, but they are not one. So therefore, when we tell people, I'm too old to change, I can't change, I'm too set in my ways, wrong view, wrong attitude, wrong thinking. That's why when you go to the monasteries where I come from, 3,000 monks. Out of 3,000 monks, easily 800 to 900 are very elderly and senior, 70s, 80s, 90s. You never meet one old monk that says to you, I'm depressed, I'm unhappy, I want to kill myself. Can I have another cigarette? Can I have another shoot up? I need another heroin dose. Can I have some Xanax? Okay, 1. I used to take Xanax so I can't sleep, but no, not the other monk. Can I have a Xanax? I'm sad. Can we go out and have a drink? Any whiskey? None. And this is not a show they put on when you visit. I live there. A part of me is Tibetan Lama. A part of me is American. The American in me says, prove it to me. It's a horrible attitude at times. Prove it to me. And they proved it to me. I think they're all starry-eyed believing everything. I went there saying, well, I believe, but let me check it out. I've never met an old monk that needed drugs, alcohol, women, that needed smoke, that needed anything to be happy. I've never met an old senior monk that said to me, oh God, I'm too old to practice, I'm too old to change, I'm too old to think more. Never. Even when His Holiness the Dalai Lama comes to the monasteries to give teachings, 80, 85-year-old monks will slowly walk their way to the teaching hall, prostrate, and sit reverently and receive teachings and think and say, oh, I can apply that to my life. Why? Because the attitude is, I can take this with me to my next lives. My mind goes with me. So whatever you learn from your mind, it's not for this life. Which is what makes practicing Dharma, makes a person very happy. Because whatever you're doing accumulates into future lives. It's a long-term investment. Whereas in the secular world, when we believe only in money, when we believe only in material things, when we believe in investments, and we only believe in position and name and power, perhaps, and not necessarily believe in those things in a negative way, But just we're taught to believe that, the American dream or whatever, the materialistic dream, that we accumulate. And over time, as we accumulate our position, our status, our name, our wealth, our investments, our children, our friends, clothes, collector's items, we become more unhappy. Why? Because we know that whatever we are accumulating will have to be let go of very soon. And it's a dichotomy, because on the one hand, in the past when we were in our 20s and 30s, when we accumulated, we felt kind of happy because it's security. But when we reach our 40s and 50s and 60s, we kind of say, what's the big deal? No, really, what is the big deal if I have it or don't have it? This is not the sum of who I am, and this doesn't make me happy. It actually doesn't give me security. And for people who have been blessed to have their fortunes lost and go down, be cheated and lied to, blessed, they realize how these things don't bring happiness. They realize how these things don't bring happiness. Do you know why? We all need a roof over our heads. We all need security and money. But if we focus only on that, we're not happy. So what am I saying? Give up everything, go live in the jungle with me? No. That's not literally go live in the jungle with me. No. In fact, I just came out from the jungle today. No. But a middle way. A middle way. That we work and support and take care of our commitment. But at the same time, we should take part of our time to work to our higher commitment, ourselves, our mind, our spirituality, our future lives, our death. I guarantee you, if we, you doesn't mean you, if we, you, continue to only accumulate, acquire, you will see you become more depressed, more unhappy, more sad. That is why the top 7 countries in the world, G7, the wealthiest countries in the world, have the biggest cases of depression, suicide, murder, crime, and crime that's not so straightforward, just hit you and take your bag. I mean, they tie you up, they peel your skin off. You know, they lock you up, they torture you, they dismember you, they eat you. You know, I mean, in these G7 countries, Japan, Germany, all that, the crimes are not straightforward. It's really twisted crimes that are really, you can't even imagine. It's not a matter of just robbing the little old lady. It's robbing her, taking her things, torturing her, and eating her. Why does that arise? Obviously, wealth doesn't satisfy them, they're bored. Materialism doesn't satisfy them, they're bored. Does this happen in countries that are not developed? Yes, it does. Maybe even unreported, but not as much. Because people are too busy trying to feed their stomachs. They're not interested in dismembering you and torturing you. They don't have time. Because if they don't have time, really. They have to go out there and take care of their fields, or else there's no rice. They had no time to catch you, torture you. They want to catch you, they'll kill you, they just kill you on the spot. They got their satisfaction, they got their thrill. Alright, I mean, both ways is not good. Samsara, samsara. My point? If we only think acquisitions and acquiring things, there's 2 facets of our mind. The mind that's conscious, the mind that's subconscious. The conscious part of our mind says, yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do. That's what I'm told. That's what it shows in the movies, you know. That's what I'm taught in school and society and culture. Yeah, get more prestige, more name, more money. Yeah, I'll be happy. Well then, no pun intended, but every movie star should be very happy. But they have the highest cases of suicide, drug use, abuse, alcoholism. And with the deepest respect to them, why? Because they've acquired everything and it doesn't bring them what they thought. It's not they're bad people. No, there are bad people who are actors. There are very nice people who are actors. It's not across the board. No. So a lot of them, you don't even know there's something wrong with them, and you find them dead. OD'd. Why? They've gotten everything we're told you should have. Name, fame, money, prestige, popularity. And there's nothing wrong with those, except no one told them that it doesn't make them happy. So they go, but I'm supposed to be happy now. You ever see people take pictures of stars? You ever see a star like, no, they all got, I mean, they're in the back doing drugs, right? They're back killing people, raping people. They're in the back, drinking up, and they're drunk as a skunk, and they come out. I'm real happy. And I want to do another, movie or concert. Is it because they're bad? No. They suffer what everybody else suffers, except they're in the limelight, others are not. They're just highlighted. They're not different than anyone else, and anyone else is not different than them. Big businessmen, same thing. When they go for corporate meetings, they have to be very happy. Do you know how many big businessmen I've met when I close the doors, they cry? Do you know why they cry? Not because they're wimps. Because they have nowhere. They found a place where they're safe to express how they're really feeling. Oh yes. I've met thousands of people, literally. My point? We need to find a middle way. We need to do our jobs. We need to acquire. But we need to also shift our focus away. What's the focus? What's the shift? The shift is acquire for a different reason. Is what we talked about 2 weeks ago. Acquire and do for a different reason. So someone like you wishes to continue your career, by all means do. But shift the purpose. When the purpose is shifted, you will see some glimmer of happiness. You will see the glimmer of happiness. Why? Just like Allison throwing the cup of water at me, our little scenario, of course she won't. We just change our perspective. And that is what the mind training teachings are all about. The mind training teachings are specifically that. They're called in Tibetan lo zhong. Lo is mind, zhong is to change. Lo zhong is to transform and change our mind. It is not to assume our mind is bad. It is to assume our mind is deluded and ignorant. Deluded and ignorant is not a negative state of mind. It is a factual state of mind. When you say to someone you're ignorant, you're not saying you're stupid. When you're saying to someone you're deluded, you're not saying to them you're bad. You're saying really you don't know. If you've been raised in places where they say, hey, killing is wonderful, and you kill, that's deluded. That's delusion. How can killing people be wonderful? How can creating pain be wonderful? If you've been raised on the streets and you've been taught stealing, robbing people as a way of living is wonderful. That's the way, society owes us. We had a bum rap. Our parents abandoned us. We're orphans. We've been on the streets. We get beaten up. We've been raped. We've been hurt. We've been used. So it's our right to take back what we deserve. So we just beat people up and we rob people for it. And if we believe that, that's delusion. Because hurting others never brings happiness. Never. It is against any wisdom, both religious and secular. It is against any natural cause and effect in our universe. Cause creating effect. That harming others brings happiness. Against all. Therefore, the mind training teachings are specifically that. To train our minds to change our perspectives. And when we change our perspectives, the whole world changes. Anger becomes less. More patience. More acceptance. Our motivation changes. Our goal changes. A whole new world opens up. A whole new world that's bigger and better and more illuminated. Why is it more illuminated? Because when we have less anger and less selfishness, it's always a better place to live. It's always a better place to be. It's always a better state of mind to be. As I've always said, these days, world hero on the world stage is that lovely lady, Aung San Suu Kyi. Why does everyone respect her so much? She has no money. She's lost her youth. Why do we respect her so much? Because she gave up her freedom, her body, her mind, her family. Her sons, she hasn't seen her sons, 15, 20 years? She gave everything to liberate her country without raising one pistol. And she said very clearly, I blogged about her. Her strength came from Dharma, came from her teacher, came from Buddhism. The thought of not hurting others. And there are many pictures of her getting Dharma from her teachers. They allowed that to her when she was in lockup, house arrest. So, why does the whole world respect her? Not because she's a Buddhist. Because she's a human being that gave herself to liberate others. That's why we respect her. She has no money. She donated to no one. She's a very beautiful lady. In an ultimate sense, on a conventional sense, she's not the supermodel that she was anymore. So everything that we would consider that we would be attracted to her for, she does not have. And everything that we are attracted to her is the fundamental human quality that we wish to develop. Sacrifice, kindness, compassion for others. That's why wherever she goes, they scatter flowers on her. People scatter flowers on me too, I hire them. I learned that from Michael Jackson. Have people faint at your Dharma talks, they faint at his concerts, and hire people to scatter flowers and get your autographs. I learned from the best. She doesn't have to do that. They really want her autograph. They really scatter flowers on her. Why? Because she's practicing what the Buddha taught. Live for others. And amazingly, she started this over 20 years ago. So where is she in the world now? If she speaks, doors open. If she speaks, governments listen. If she speaks, presidents and leaders listen. If she speaks, big businessmen listen. Even people in our country are afraid of her, and she has no army. And they respect. Everybody's dying to grab a picture with her. Where does that come from? Not wealth, not beauty, not position, not power. It comes from her kind heart. The heart that wishes to work for others instead of oneself. So I think she's a living bodhisattva. She's a living example of a spiritual person. And I like that very much. These are the kind of people that I aspire to be in this life and future lives. That I admire very much. Those are the kind of people that bring tears to my eyes. Not many people bring tears. Well, actually, people do bring tears in my eyes, but in another way. Never mind. Let's not go there. I've got a lot of interesting people here, trust me. 20 years in Malaysia, buckets. Anyways, maybe it would have been tankers if I was in America. So, the wheel of sharp weapons is one of the most profound, yet simplistic Dharma texts composed by the great master Dharmarakshita. Dharmarakshita was a great Indian saint and master who lived in the jungles. He gave up everything, and he lived in the jungles where he did his meditation. But having been in the jungles, people still come to seek him out. They still look for him for, divination and blessings and advice and Dharma talks. So seeing how people's nature were in the jungle, he wrote a profound text over 1,000 years ago. And he taught it. He taught it to his great disciple, Atisha. So if we go to page 80 in epilogue, the great yogi Dharmarakshita wrote this text in his jungle retreat. The external jungle with wild beasts, while the internal jungle is the mind. In this time of the 5 degenerate conditions, the jungle is also the place where great negativity is enacted. The great yogi knew all the tenets of Mahayana and received all the transmissions and the explanations. He placed his mind in the sphere of Dharma and thus is called a yogi. Dharmarakshita placed his mind in the sphere of Dharma, which means he thought, learned, taught, and lived Dharma. And therefore they call him a yogi. A yogi is one who makes moves. His name is Dharmarakshita, means he who defends the Dharma. And his other name is Shila Rakshita, meaning he who safeguards discipline. From the initial stages of practice up to the attainment of great union, he protected the Dharma. So he is called Dharmarakshita. Discipline is the very source of all attainments, and kept all the 3 kinds of vows without the slightest transgression. For this reason, he is also called Shila Rakshita. Considering all the teachings he had received, this excellent spiritual friend summarized them here in verse form. In the dreadful forest of the blatantly degenerate age, beings engage joyfully in unwholesome actions. Still not, their delusions are indeed a dreadful forest, still not disheartened, but wishing to train even the most ignorant, wild, transmigrant being, and taking this aim as his whole practice, the great yogi engaged in these teachings. Amazing. So he abided in the forest and not being disheartened by many people around him who acted negatively. Instead being inspired by the people who acted around him very badly. He was inspired by them. Their ignorance, how wild they were, transmigrant, unpracticed. This was the main practice of his. His main practice was to compassionately teach and help the most wild of the wild barbaric people. Instead of running away from difficulties and the wildness of people and their selfishness, he took this as his main practice. And he practiced this for the rest of his life. Meaning what? To stay among the most difficult people. To stay among the most angry, selfish, difficult people. And to teach them Dharma. With an aim to transform their minds. So Dharmarakshita, although being a scholar and a master and a yogi who abided in the jungle, he was well known for committing himself to the most barbaric people. Barbaric doesn't mean how you eat and how you dress. Barbaric is how you think. So Dharmarakshita is in Buddhist history someone very great. His images are still adorning temple walls and thangkas. People still take him as a great inspiration. And out of his great compassion, knowing he will die, he composed this text to be passed on to the future for other people to read, to tame their minds. So even though he's passed away, his compassion in taming others is in the form of a book. Translated from Sanskrit to Tibetan, Tibetan to English. How fortunate we are. Then it says here, he passed them on to the Lord of the Doctrine, the great Atisha, who attained complete realization of the two kinds of bodhicitta. It was he who brought it to Tibet. So Dharmarakshita passed these teachings to his student, Atisha, and Atisha brought it to Tibet. Atisha, whose ordination name was Dimankara Srijana, was born in the family of the king of Zahor, Bengal. His father was a Dharma king and was so rich, and he was so comparable to a universal monarch. However, Atisha gave up this magnificent life as one might spit in the dust and embrace the Dharma. Atisha himself said in the context, I gave up royalty for austerity, living in cemeteries and so on. I underwent great hardships for the Dharma. Then, because of my past collection of merit, I met my most excellent guru, Dharmarakshita. Dharmarakshita became Atisha's major spiritual teacher because he gave these excellent teachings on mind training to Atisha, who was his teacher. Atisha said, among all the teachings of Sutra and Tantra, the teachings of the two kinds of bodhicitta is the essence of Buddha's thought, the most ambrosia-like one purifying delusions. He gave this to me, so therefore I am empowered by them. The last word is missing, empowered by them. Now, so Dharmarakshita was so compassionate that instead of running away from difficult people, he resided and abided among the most difficult. And he took that as his main practice of developing his strength of mind to always teach the most difficult of people. So, knowing that he can't live forever, he didn't want these teachings to disappear. So he wrote these teachings down, composed them, and therefore it's called the Wheel of Sharp Weapons. And he passed these teachings down to his very great master, Atisha. Atisha was the third great Lama who brought a renaissance of Buddhism to Tibet. If it wasn't for Atisha, there would be no Buddhism in Tibet or not one single monk. He brought the monk lineage to Tibet. Atisha. Padmasambhava tamed the country. He's a layman, he's not a monk. He's a layperson with two consorts. He tamed the country of spirits and demons, and he put the Dharma there. After he passed away, the Dharma degenerated. So when it degenerated, the king of Tibet invited Atisha from India to come and reteach what Padmasambhava had taught. Yes. So that's why I say he's the third master. Padmasambhava, then Shantaraksita, Padmasambhava, then Atisha. Yes. So when Padmasambhava taught, people were still wild. The Dharma didn't settle strongly, but he worked tirelessly for Tibet. After Padmasambhava had passed away, well, 1 generation, 2 generations, okay. After that, it went down again. So that's when they invited Atisha to come and reestablish what Padmasambhava had taught. Yeah. So that's why I say he's the third great one. Without these three, there will be no Dharma in Tibet. None. So first is the great monk, Internalizing. Then after that was the great tantric adept, Padmasambhava. Then after that was the great Atisha. Yes. Then from Atisha, the Tibetan masters took over. They can carry their own already. But before that, it was these three. So whenever you see Thangkas, you'll see these three together. Very revered. Later, Padmasambhava took rebirth as Atisha. Atisha took rebirth as Tsongkhapa. They're one man stream. Interesting, huh? Yeah. So therefore, Atisha was born as a very great prince, and his father was a great, great Dharma king and had innumerable wealth. His son would succeed him. He gave everything up to live in the jungles, to practice the Dharma, become a great scholar. And Atisha himself said, he underwent great, great difficulties to practice the Dharma, great hardships. He never gave up. He became a teen. Atisha reached the point where he could talk to his meditational deities directly, openly. Now, Atisha said, although I went through so much great hardships for the Dharma, Atisha says, because of my past good karma, I was able to come upon a guru who taught me the Dharma. This guru was Dharmarakshita. Why is it considered very good collection? Why is it considered the result of good karma to meet a guru? Because a guru will elucidate and teach you the Dharma and teach you things that will change your mind, bring you to enlightenment. Why? Books cannot teach you. Statues cannot teach you. Relics cannot teach you. Temples cannot teach you. But a Dharma teacher can. So to meet a Dharma teacher that you can connect with, to meet a Dharma teacher that can elucidate and clearly bring the Dharma to your mind is clearly a result of good karma. Why is it good karma? Because when you meet a Dharma teacher, the purpose of being a Dharma teacher is to get Dharma. When you get Dharma, you practice, you transform. When you transform, you become happy. Happiness comes from good karma. But there are steps for that. It isn't just good karma and you're happy. It isn't just you have good karma and then you become happy. Good karma or merit will result in finding a method to transform your mind so you become happy. So therefore, in the Tibetan tradition, in the northern tradition, we revere our teachers tremendously. Tremendously. Why? We make offerings to our teachers. We offer flowers, the 5 sensory offerings. We offer our body, speech, and mind. We offer prostrations. And before Dharma teachings, we offer a mandala. Why? To collect further merit so we can receive the nectar of Dharma. The only way we can get Dharma is if we have the good karma to receive it. If we don't have the good karma to receive it, why would we receive the methods to become happy? It's impossible. So meeting a Dharma teacher is considered really an accumulation of the highest merits. It's just like when I met my teacher in Los Angeles. It changed my life. Literally, it changed my life. And my life has changed ever since till now. It didn't go backwards. I'm not the great person. I'm not the greatest Dharma practitioner. That's definitely for sure. But I think I would have been a much nastier, ugly person if I had met my teacher. Because I know who I am. I know what kind of person I am. I know my good stuff and I know my bad stuff. And I know in time, my bad stuff would have become stronger. Because why? If I stayed in America and chased after all the other things that I'm told to chase, definitely those qualities have become stronger. Definitely. I'm no different than anyone else. But because I met my teacher, he taught me another way. And I was very fortunate to practice, not perfectly, but practice what he taught me 20 years ago until now. I have some semblance of happiness. My anger is under control. My motivation is to help others. And I do live my life the best I can to be of a service to others because of my teacher's teachings. So therefore, the last 20 years, the way I lived my life, was of some service to others. Some service. This came from my teacher who gave me the knowledge. So therefore, meeting my teacher, Kyabje Rinpoche, was definitely an accumulation of great merits from previous lives. And for me to even have faith in my teacher and follow him, now that he has passed away, to even have faith in my teacher and follow him even after he has passed away. How do I follow my teacher after he's passed away? Whatever he's taught me, I have not abandoned. I've put it in my mind and I've practiced. It's definitely merits. And I rejoice in that. I don't have any arrogant proudness of it. I rejoice. Today we're able to meet and talk and share the Dharma is because of the kindness of my teacher. Because if he never taught me patiently for decades, I would not be here teaching you or sharing anything. I don't know, I might be in a movie with you. You never know, right? And then afterwards we both get drunk and be unhappy. Now we're sober and unhappy. Anyways, seriously, it's the kindness of my teacher. So in the Tibetan tradition, when we take refuge, we recite Namo Guru Be, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dhamma. I take refuge in my teacher. I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha. Without our teacher, there is no Buddha. Why is there no Buddha? No one to teach us the methods to become a Buddha. Without our teacher, there's no Dharma. Where is the Dharma without our teacher? A living example. Without the Dharma, without the teacher, there is no Sangha. No one to ordain people into the monkhood and nunhood. So without the Guru, there is no Buddha, there is no Dharma, there is no Sangha. All the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the past relied on the teacher. All the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in the future, to become a Buddha, will rely upon a teacher. Just like the current Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to be now will rely on the teacher. Hence, I take refuge in my teacher. And with humility and good motivation, I listen to the Dharma from my teacher. And that's the basis of having respect for our teacher in the Tibetan tradition, in short form, in a short way. Now, so therefore Atisha says here very clearly, that's why I say when the words are here, when we read it, go, okay, I get it. The teacher elucidates what's written. So therefore the Dharma book doesn't teach you, the teacher elucidates further what it is said here. So therefore Atisha tells you that the essence of all the teachings of both Sutra and Tantra, the most ambrosia-like essence is bodhicitta, the development of bodhicitta. And this is what this book is about. Alright? Now, let's go, of course we can't finish the whole book tonight. We'll just do a little bit. And you guys can keep the books. The Wheel of Sharp Weapons, the Mahayana Training of the Mind. The name of this work is The Wheel of Sharp Weapons, effectively striking the heart of the foe. Effectively striking the heart of the foe means what? The foe is not an outer foe. The foe is inside of us. Anger, ignorance. That's the real foe. Why is that the real foe? That's the one that makes us speak unpleasantly, act unpleasantly, think unpleasantly, and create actions that are unpleasant. Anger. You may say, but that person did that to me. He did that to you. That's his problem. When you do it to him, that's your problem. So the foe here is not an outer foe, it's a foe inside. And the next line is a homage to Yamataka. Yamataka is the fierce manifestation of Manjushri, which is a complete complete adversary or opponent of anger. So one who meditates on Yamataka or Manjushri, anger becomes eradicated. So the next line says, I pay heartfelt homage to you, Yamataka. Your wrath is opposed to the great Lord of Death. What is the great Lord of Death? The great Lord of Death is the one that kills us. It doesn't refer to an outer Lord of Death. It refers to anger. Anger kills happiness. Anger kills people. Anger kills peace, harmony. So anger is the great Lord of Death. That's why without a teacher, when we read this, say, what is the Buddhist talking about, the great Lord of Death? Is that a person that comes and takes us away? No. So therefore, in the jungles of poisonous plants struts the peacocks. Though medicine gardens of beauty lie near, the masses of peacocks do not find gardens pleasant, but thrive on the essence of poisonous plants. In a similar fashion, the brave bodhisattvas remain in a jungle of worldly concern. No matter how joyful this world's pleasure gardens, these brave ones are never attracted to pleasures, but thrive in a jungle of suffering and pain. So what does that mean? There may be a beautiful garden full of herbs and flowers that are healing and pleasant and beautiful and aromatic. Peacocks by nature don't like that. Peacocks by nature actually eat poisonous substances from the ground, hazardous substances from the ground. In fact, their beautiful tail feathers grow so illustrious and so beautiful and so colorful is a result of the poisons. So therefore, peacocks, instead of abiding in pleasure gardens, they abide in unpleasant places, poisonous plants and poisonous items they eat, yet they thrive and become even more beautiful. Bodhisattvas, or people who train in the bodhisattva mind, bodhicitta, are like peacocks. They don't look for good things for themselves. They don't look for pleasant things for themselves. They can sacrifice pleasure for themselves, and they can live among barbaric, wild, difficult, hard people, places that are filled with materialism, money, greed, pride, and be surrounded by people who are extremely selfish. Instead of these great people being brought down and depressed, they thrive. They're inspired by negativity. They're inspired by selfishness. They're inspired by materialism. They're inspired by people's anger, by their suffering, by their greed. Why are they inspired? Because the whole purpose of them to exist is to benefit others. So if they live in a pleasure garden full of Buddhas, who will they help? It's not an egocentric trip. It is compassion. So therefore, beings who are real monks, real nuns, real Dharma practitioners, even lay people, who abide among materialism in places they don't find pleasant, away from the monastery, away from the jungles, but they abide in places that people are filled with greed and anger. Like the peacock, instead of being brought down, depressed, dragged down, they thrive. They thrive among the greedy. They thrive among the selfish. They are inspired by their pain and their unhappiness. For what? To help them even more. To teach them more. To give them gifts. To give them love. To give them compassion. A sign in Buddhism, a sign of a bodhisattva, a sign of a person practicing bodhisattvahood is one that gives a lot, who is very generous without motive, who gives continuously. Why? The gift that they give you is meant to benefit you in one way or another. So therefore, like peacocks, they thrive. We spend our whole life in the search for enjoyment, yet tremble with fear at the mere thought of pain. Thus, since we are cowards, we are miserable still. But the brave bodhisattvas accept suffering gladly and gain from their courage a true lasting joy. Now, desire is a jungle of poisonous plants here. Only brave ones like peacocks can thrive on such fare. If cowardly beings like crows were to try it, because they are greedy, they might lose their lives. What does that mean? We spend our whole life looking for good food, good house, good clothes, good car, good entertainment, good partners, good friends, good name. The minute a little bit of pain comes, a little bit of discomfort, a little bit things go wrong, we become angry. We ask why. We cannot accept it. We become distraught. We become depressed. We become extremely destabilized. Extremely. Why? That is a measure of how selfish we are. That is a true measure of how selfish we are. When we only want pleasant things, we only want pleasant things. And when anything unpleasant comes, it totally destabilizes us. It shows you how selfish we are. And this selfishness is not taken in the context that we are stuck being selfish, we're stuck being bad people, we're bad people. It means that's our training at the moment. Nothing is permanent. So when you're labeled as selfish for the moment, you don't have to be the next moment. Nothing is permanent. So we don't have to become, oh my God, I'm selfish. No wonder I'm unhappy. And then we become even more depressed because we've been told why we're depressed, right? It becomes worse. Let's take another pill. Exactly, let's have another drink. After the Dharma talk, we go get drunk because we're even more depressed. We know what's wrong. No, that's not meant that way. It's not meant for you to become more depressed because nothing is permanent and stagnant. A toxic swamp can be cleaned out to be crystal clear waters.
So what does that give us? That's the state of mind we're in, but that's the state of mind we can transform. There's hope. And that's the beauty of Dharma. If there's no hope, why learn the Dharma? You won't ever be a Buddha. Buddha is a God. He's up there, you're down here, the end. You're always down here. But that's not what the Buddha spoke. I'm up here, and you will be too. Because I was where you are, and I will teach you how to get where I am. And that's the beauty of Buddhism. Is that you can accept Buddha as a God, you can accept him as a creator, as a teacher, a creator of what? Creator of happiness. Or you can keep on the altar and just pray to him and never learn anything he says and never transform. Then nothing will happen. How many millions of Christians pray to Jesus and nothing happens? How many millions of Buddhists pray to Buddha and nothing happens? They're just as angry and unpleasant and unhappy as before they went and prayed. Because it's not a matter of praying to a God. It's a matter of listening to what these gods say and applying it and transforming. Because Buddha never said, you are there and you're stuck. I am here and you worship me. If you don't, you go to hell. He never said that. He doesn't want that. In fact, he's not even interested for you to make his images. So why do we make his images? That's a different story. Now, so therefore the Bodhisattva spends their whole life near the jungle, in the jungle of poisonous plants. Poisonous plants means one, surrounded by people with greed, unhappiness, anger, jealousy, and they thrive. That's a sign of a bodhisattva. Alright? Next page, standard 5. How can someone who cherishes self more than others take lust and such dangerous poisons for food? If he tried like a crow to use other delusions, he would probably forfeit his chance for release. How can someone who cherishes themselves more than others ever be happy? That's like saying taking poisonous foods and hoping to be well and fit. So every day we take, toxins, unhealthy foods, MSG, no offense, we eat at fast food places every day. We just fill ourselves up with hamburgers 40 times a day. And then we want to live long and be healthy and be prosperous. I don't think so. Similarly, when a crow is someone that enjoys good things and avoids bad things, opposite of a peacock, tries to act so good, he will fail. That means crow is likened to an untrained mind. So when an untrained person says, A for the Dharma, I'll get more money. A for the Dharma, I'll go be famous. A to help people, I'm going to do this. Instead of helping and bringing things up, they will be dragged down because their mind is untrained. So people whose minds are untrained and say, I will work for the Dharma. I will make money for the Dharma. I'm not going to meditate. I'm not going to attend teachings. I'm not going to do practice. I'm not going to listen to any Dharma teachers. Nothing. Because my motivation is pure. And I'm going to work for the Dharma and take this money and help the poor, help charities, help others, because that's real Dharma. Instead of becoming better, they get dragged down over time. They go away from Dharma. Why? They're like a crow. Because their mind are untrained. Instead of being pulled up, they pull themselves down. Hence, what are we saying? All people need the Dharma, need to listen to the Dharma and train their mind before they go into doing materialistic things with the Dharma motivation. Okay, everybody understand that? And thus, bodhisattvas are likened to peacocks. They live on delusions, those poisonous plants, transforming them into the essence of practice. They thrive in the jungle of everyday life. Whatever is presented, they always accept while destroying the poison of clinging desire. So people who are well trained, their mind are under control. It is immersed in Dharma. Even they live in cities with normal people with greed and anger and pride, they will never be affected. Never. They will never become greedy. They will never change their minds to become degenerate or harm or get thrown off their path. That's a sign their mind is well trained. Whereas a person whose mind is not well trained, their intention is good. I want to go do this and this and this for the Dharma. But because they're not trained, although their intention is good, they get dragged down. In the end, they don't do any Dharma. Why? Because they do something and their mind is not trained. That's why people say, but he had good intention, she had good intention. How come when they go do that, they go away from the Dharma? Because they didn't train themselves. That is why. Now, uncontrollable wandering through rounds of existence is caused by our grasping at egos as real. The ignorant attitude heralds the demon of selfish concern for our welfare alone. We seek some security for our own egos. We want only pleasure and shun any pain. But now we must banish all selfish compulsion and gladly take hardship for others' sake. What is that saying? Uncontrollable wandering in existence. 6 realms of existence, as Buddha spoke. The hells, the ghosts, animals, humans, demigods, and gods. So we wander in the 6 realms of existence. Uncontrollable. What is uncontrollable? We had no control where we were going to take rebirth. We have no control when we're going to die. And we have no control what's our next state of existence. That is called uncontrolled. So if we think things are hard right now, look at everybody out there who suffer in this heat, sun, toil, sickness, all kinds of problems. We're just one breath away from them. We can die tonight and take rebirth in their states. They can die tonight, they can take rebirth in our state. So all the problems that we're attached to actually are not problems if we think we can die tonight. Then you say, but that's unrealistic. Maybe we won't die tonight. And why do we have to keep thinking about that? That's very negative. No. Death meditation in Buddhism is not taken for negativity. It is taken for reality. It is a reality. So what would be most important to you if you were dying? Would anger be important? Getting the enemy? Smiting the other person out? Getting that girl? Getting that boy? Becoming the richest person in the world? The most famous person in the world? Getting the biggest houses, the biggest yachts, the best clothes, the most branded items, to be invited to the most glamorous parties? Would that be the priority of our lives if tonight was our last night? For most people who have any sense of logic, it would not be. It would not be. For people who have any sense of balance, it would be maybe saying goodbye to friends, apologizing to people that hurt, saying their goodbyes. Making peace with what they've done, what they didn't do. For people on a religious level, they'll prepare themselves by meditation to leave their body, to enter a next body in control. There are people who can leave their body at will and enter a new body at will. There are. I'm not going to prove it to you at this moment. You're going to have to stick around with me for that one. It is possible. So therefore, we wander uncontrolled. Why do we wander uncontrolled? Because we grasp at our egos. Me. My desire, my needs, my wants surpasses everyone's. So when we think our needs surpass everyone's, we act in that kind of manner. When we act in that kind of manner, it naturally draws us toward a selfish path. And when we're drawn toward a selfish path, our actions become selfish, therefore the karma and the repercussions become selfish. Repercussions are not a punishment from a higher authority. Repercussions are cause and effect of our own actions. So therefore, when we wander uncontrollable, why do we wander uncontrollably in the 6 realms? Because of our attachment to ourselves. Focusing in. Simple. As Dharmarakshita has said, this ignorant attitude heralds the demon. This attitude of cherishing ourselves is the actual demon. Is the demon. Is the devil. Is Satan. Is the negativity. Why? How can one guy under the ground with horns and a little tail and the pitchfork create all the problems in the world? How can that be possible? We create the problems. We are the creator. We create it with our egos. Our egos of me. I don't care about you. Me. That's what's deforesting the world. Global warming, using up our resources, killing the planet. It's greed. But if we wanted to blame it on the devil, then things won't solve. The problems won't solve. To always say it's an outer problem and it's not me never solves the problem. It's here. So we call this selfishness in Buddhism a demon. That's the real demon. Then, that's why Buddhism is not infatuated with controlling the devil or expelling the devil. There's a wonderful saying. There is a devil, there is no doubt. But is he trying to get in or trying to get out? That's what we have to think. So in Buddhism, we believe he's trying to get out. It's anger and ego. Without anger and ego, with compassion, even ghosts cannot harm us. And there are ghosts. They are disembodied people. There are ghosts. With great compassion, with great metta, great love, you can even control ghosts. You can tell ghosts, go away, don't harm them. They will listen to you. Why? Because they're moved by your love and concern. Of selfish concern for our welfare alone, we seek some security for our own egos. We want only pleasure and shun any pain. But now we must banish all selfish compulsion and gladly take hardship for others' sake. Meaning, until now, all of our unhappiness has come from being selfish. Because we are selfish by training, not by nature. Nature and training is different. If it's by nature, it's unchangeable. If it's by training, it's changeable. There's a difference. So when we change our selfishness, when things go wrong, we don't become unhappy. Because it's not about us anymore. The world is not about us anymore. The world is about others. And then when we change that ego through these teachings and we transform, instead of shunning pain, we are happy to take the pain of others. We're happy to accept the pain of others. I remember two incidences which I'll relate in short. One was when I was very ill in India. Very, very, very ill. I can barely move. And my teacher, my great teacher, who's passed away, came down to visit me. He lives upstairs. He came down to visit me. I couldn't even get up. Because when your teacher comes, you're not allowed to remain sitting. You should stand up and show the deepest respect because he teaches you the Dharma. I couldn't even get up. I was sitting there like this. I could not. And he came and, well, my egotistical, selfish mind said, he's going to do some ritual, he's going to blow some mantras, he's going to give me some magic powder, and I'm going to get well. And I was so excited because, well, he does have those powers. He sat down, he sat there for 5-6 minutes, and he said, how are you? And I was thinking, very ill. Obviously, right? He said to me, well, let me teach you something to help you. And I was thinking, oh, wonderful, a mantra to heal. I really thought that, a magic mantra to heal. He says, everybody and all the old monks and your gurus and teachers and the Dalai Lama, if they become sick and die, the Dharma will suffer. And many beings would suffer because they cannot get the Dharma. Pray that the Dalai Lama's sicknesses and potential illnesses come to you now. Pray that the old monks in the monastery and the great masters, the old ones, their sickness comes to you. You can suffer for them so they can live longer to teach the Dharma. I was thinking, oh, suffer for them. Then he says, then your loved ones and all your friends and all beings on this planet, nobody wants sickness. Nobody. Visualize their sickness in the form of black lights coming to you. Enter your body and you suffer incredibly for them. So tonight, suffer for them and be happy. And then he left. I was like, oh. And you know what? I was happy. Because I followed the instructions and I prayed. By me becoming sick, may His Holiness Dalai Lama not be sick. May my teachers not be sick. May they live very long. May the monastery's elder monks and senior monks who struggle so much not be sick. And may they teach the Dharma. And I visualized the black lights coming to me. And I was very sick. I didn't become sicker, but I was very sick. And that night, every pain that I had, I was happy. Because it was for a purpose. That's what he taught me when I was sick as a dog. No mantras, nothing. And I never forgot that. It brings tears to my eyes. I never forgot that because even while I was sick, I was able to practice Dharma, to develop my mind. Another incident, which they all know, was when I was in a train from Delhi We went for teaching to the Dalai Lama in Dharamsala. We came back by train. The train is 3 days and 2 nights. Well, I used to say this to my friends secretly. The only hell is an Indian train. Yes, there is no other hell on earth is an Indian train. Because they have seats for 4, but 20 sit there. I'm not exaggerating. They sit in front of you, next to you, chickens, goats, everything. And you kind of say, oh, that's my ticket, that's my number. They look at you, I don't speak English. So a seat for 4, 20 sit there, goats, chickens, everything, and you just get some seeds and feed chickens. They're hungry. What else can you do? And so they stopped. In the middle of the night, the train goes completely, always, and it stopped. And I had a horrible window that wouldn't stay locked. So when the train moves, the window vibrates up because it's sliding and it vibrates up. Oh my, I must have closed that window 200 times easily on that trip because it's freezing and the rain comes in. So we stopped at a city and I pulled down the window. And then my teacher got up and he says, what's going on? And I told him, oh, we stopped at a city, blah, blah, blah. And there, new passengers, old passengers, the chicken left. Happily, the chicken left. And he says, okay, tonight be careful, you might lose your head. I mean, what is he talking about? Then he went, and he laughed and went to sleep. So that, I had a bag, I had a cloth bag, and I had my prayer book. I had a wallet that had 600 rupees. That was a lot of money for me. That's about $6 US or whatever. I can't remember. Anyways, 600 rupees. And I had my pen and a few other things, my rosary, and I had it in my bag. And I thought I'd be clever. I put the bag onto my head as a pillow, and I wrapped the handle around my neck. So I was sleeping like that. So the next city we stopped, I was being choked. I woke up being choked because the guy through the window was grabbing my bag. And so I was choking because the handle was there. So I turn around, I hear a monk, right? I'm fighting for my bag and I'm screaming. And I said, stop the train, stop the train. And the train started going. He pulled it back. He took everything. And I didn't have Xerox machines that time. So I have a very thick prayer book. I recopied everything by hand, just like last week. He took it all. It took me days to write one by hand. He took it all. And my money, that was my money for the month. I had no other money. I was very poor. And some other stuff, my rosary beads. And my teacher got up because there was so much commotion. And he asked me what happened. I told him. And he laughed and laughed. And he could not stop laughing. He laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed. And I was getting irritated. Of course, I don't show it. I dare not. And I was sitting there going. And he's laughing at the top of his voice. And then after he wiped away his tears from laughing so hard, literally, he said to me, didn't I tell you can lose your head? Or did I warn you? And I was thinking to myself, my evil mind was thinking, could you be a little more explicit next time and tell me put the bag under maybe? What's all this poem and mystery in Tibet? Just tell me you're going to lose your bag, don't wrap it. I was thinking that. Of course I dare not say, we don't talk like that to our teachers. But all my evil anger mind, I was thinking, next time tell me clearly since you have clairvoyance, obviously. And so then after, like I said, he wiped away his tears because he laughed so hard and I'm there getting pissed off. Then he said, okay, now you meditate. Those people stole your bag. They must be very poor and very hungry. Tonight they'll eat because of your kindness. Ooh. All my anger went away. He said, make a prayer. Your money can benefit them. Whatever is in your bag can help them. They must be very poor to degenerate themselves to that level to steal. And from a monk. So he went back to sleep and I sat in the train meditating for about 15 minutes. The train, I meditated. And I had Buddha pictures, Hiruka pictures, Tara pictures, Tsongkhapa pictures, Manjushri pictures. And I know Indians will take the pictures on an altar. And I said, may he take my prayer pictures and put on his altar and pray. May the 600 rupees benefit him. May my bag benefit him, which I really liked because I had it sewn. And I did that prayer. And all my anger was released. Same situation. I mean, it happened. It happened. What am I to do? Continuously be angry. Next person that does that, I become belligerent. It happened. And my teacher warned me. I was there. The stupid American was there, me, who saw, he warned me, and afterwards he laughed his head off. This teacher has passed away. So, this demon that's selfish, my money, my bag, my things, me. That evening, let go. I didn't say I let go next day because there's a long journey, okay? I mean a spiritual journey. The train was long too. I let go that evening. And I wasn't angry. And to this day, I think back, it brings tears to my eyes because he changed my whole perspective around that day. From what? My loss to the other person's benefit. And my teacher said, how kind you are to let him have it and not have anger. And that made a difference in my life. Do you know why? I am selfish. I'm not ashamed. I am selfish. I didn't even know it. That's the way I was trained. That's my thing. You shouldn't steal it. But I think maybe his daughter might be very sick. Maybe he hasn't eaten for days. Maybe he's been begging all day in the hot sun or a week and no one gave him anything. And he's just at last end wits. Maybe his wife is dying. Maybe he had no choice. Maybe he was just a thief. I don't know, but that's the way we should think. Let it go. So this time the teachings touches me very deeply because I experienced this from my teacher. So what makes us unhappy? Our egos. That's why it says, now. We must gladly take on any hardship. Instead of shunning hardship, accept hardship. Accept difficulties if it will benefit another. Because we may be physically and mentally enduring hardship, but if we accept it openly and willingly, we will become happy because it's to relieve somebody else. I'll give you an example. Someone said to me, if you cut off your finger, I won't kill 100 persons. My God, I'll be scared to death if they cut off. It'll be painful. I'll do it. And every time I look at it, a part of me will be happy I saved their lives. But if you say cut off my finger because I went to a club and they slammed the door on it and because everybody was drunk, I'll be very unhappy for the rest of my life, right? Or I got into a brawl over somebody in a club and they took out their knife and sliced my finger off. Well, I'll be very unhappy. But both ways, I sliced my finger off. It's just how you look at it. So therefore, now, we should live in the forests. We should be near people who are difficult. We should keep people who are difficult near us. We should be near difficult situations. Because they're difficult because our mind is untrained. Once our mind is trained, it's not a difficulty anymore. Once our mind is trained, it is not a difficulty anymore. We can endure tremendous hardships for others. So Dharmarakshita is saying here, what makes us unhappy is not hardships and difficulties or selfish people. It's our own selfishness. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Okay. All of our sufferings derive from our habits of selfish delusions we heed and act out. All of us share in this tragic misfortune, which stems from our narrow and self-centered ways. We must take all of our sufferings and miseries of others and smother our wishes of selfish concern. So, all of our sufferings come from our habits. And the beautiful thing is, habits can change. That's why none of this says it's our nature or it's ingrained. It is a habit. Then, when we act out our selfish delusionary actions, when we act out our delusions, then misfortune comes to us. Why is it tragic? Because we don't see that. That's why it's mentioned here as all of us share this tragic misfortune. Why is it a tragic misfortune, not a misfortune? It's tragic because we don't see that. That when we act out our anger and greed and selfishness, all of our unhappiness comes to us. Then people might say, hey, everybody around me is like that. It's a dog-eat-dog world. So if I'm not tough and I don't fight back, they're going to get me. Wrong attitude. When does it end? One day you will lose. One day you'll lose your youth, your vigor, your energy, your health. You will lose. When does it end? So if you know Dharma, if you have received Dharma, you should be higher than those people who act like that. Not higher in ego and pride and arrogance. Higher in your thinking. Higher in your mental strength. Higher in your ability to absorb more problems for others. Higher. So therefore, it is a tragic misfortune because tragedy it's a waste. It doesn't have to be that way. So therefore, it's a tragic misfortune. So if we take on the sufferings of others and smother is like take a pillar and just smother something, fire out, whatever. When we smother our selfish concerns, happiness will arise. Satisfaction will arise. Peace, strength, wisdom, 100% diligence to work for others will arise. We will never give up working for others. Never. Should the impulse arise now to seek our own pleasure, we must turn it aside to please others instead. For even if loved ones should rise up against us, we must blame our self-centered and feel its self-interest and feel it is our due. So what is that saying? When we want to go seek pleasure, instead of continuously looking for pleasure for ourselves endlessly, like drinking salt water, never quenching our thirst, now we should work for others, perhaps charity. We should work for others. And even if loved ones rise up against us, people we have hope in, people we trust, they rise up against us, we have to realize that came from our self-interest, because why did we love them? Did we love them for them, or we love them for us? So even loved ones rise up against us, deceive us, separate from us, or go away. Instead of being sad and angry and being depressed forever and blaming them, we have to think, wait a minute, how were we involved in this tragedy? Definitely we adopted them for ourselves. So when they rise up against us or go away, instead of becoming more angry and belligerent, it should be our guru. It should be a teacher. It should be a lesson to be learned and say, okay, that's not the way. It's not the way anymore. So maybe in the future, if we do have relationships, it should be for the right way. And then maybe things turn out differently. Then it says here, when our bodies are aching and racked with great torment, of dreadful diseases we cannot endure, this is the wheel of sharp weapons returning full circle upon us from wrongs we have done. Till now we have injured the bodies of others. Hereafter, let's take on what sickness is theirs. So what is it saying? When our bodies are aching and racked with great pain and torment, sickness, and it's the dreadful diseases come to us, this is the wheel of sharp weapons returning full force upon us for the injuries we have done other people's bodies. So how to counter that? This is very powerful. It tells you where diseases come from, the cause, and how to counter. Therefore, now take the diseases of others and visualize their diseases coming to you. So this will counter that karma. Depressed and forlorn. When we feel mental anguish, this is the wheel of sharp weapons, returning full circle upon us from wrongs we have done. Till now we have kept what we had without sharing. We have plundered and stolen and lured people on. Hereafter let's take from them hunger and thirst. What does it say? When hunger and violent thirst overwhelms us, this is the wheel of, depressed and forlorn, when we feel mental anguish, this is the wheel of sharp weapons returning full circle upon us from wrongs we have done. Till now we have deeply disturbed the mind of others. Hereafter let's take on the suffering of others. So what is it saying? Why do we feel forlorn? Why do we always feel mental anguish and unhappiness? And our mind can't settle. This is the karma coming back. Wheel of sharp weapons means it's a wheel with knives. Just like it's depicted here. Turning and coming back to us. And cutting us down. So we took this wheel of weapons, we threw it at others. Now it turns back like a boomerang back to us. So, why do we have mental anguish, pain, depression? Because we have caused this in the mind of others. So when we have caused this mental pain and anguish from our anger in others, definitely it will come back to us. So if we want to be happy, creating pain for others in their minds is not the way to be happy. So Dharmarakshita here compassionately tells us, now let's take on the suffering of others. Let's endure difficulties for others. Work for others. This is how you counter that karma. Next. When hunger or violent thirst overwhelms us, this is the wheel of sharp weapons returning full circle upon us from the wrongs we have done. Till now we have kept what we had without sharing. We have plundered and stolen and lured people on. Hereafter, let's take from them hunger and thirst. So, some people, maybe not necessarily us, are hungry, thirsty, tired, always not able to get nourishment. That is karma returning from taking nourishment from others, from luring other people into wrong deals, from cheating others, and also We never shared our things. Sharing with our family is not sharing. Our family is an extension of our ego. To give to our family generously doesn't mean we share, because it has an agenda. Sharing means to give to other people who cannot benefit you back in any way, and it benefits them. When you do that, it purifies the karma of greediness or miserliness. So not having things we need, fortunes going up and down, comes straightforward from not sharing what we have. So Dharmarakshita is saying here, from now on, let's take hunger and thirst away from them. Feed them, take care of them, give them what they need, be generous. When you do this, it will counter the karma of you receiving that kind of pain. Understand? When we lack any freedom, but must obey others, this is the wheel of sharp weapons returning full circle upon us from wrongs that we have done. Till now we have looked down upon those who are lowly and used them as servants for our own selfish needs. Hereafter, let's offer our services to others with humble devotion of body and life. So, do we think we have freedom? We have to work for a living. Nobody will give us anything. We may think we have freedom. But let's stop working and see how much freedom we have. And is work freedom? Some people delude themselves and say, oh, my work is my life and my work makes me happy. That's delusionary. When we don't have freedom and we have to obey others, what people tell us. In your case, the directors and all that. In your case, your bosses. In your case, me. Sorry. I'm your bad karma coming back. Okay. When we lack any freedom and we must obey others. Obeying others is not a lama, a teacher, or something positive like our parents. We're talking about people that take away our freedom. So there's different things. This is the wheel of sharp weapons returning full circle upon us from wrongs we have done. Till now we have looked down upon others who are lowly. That means we were arrogant and we looked down upon them and used them as servants for our selfish needs. Henceafter, let's offer our services to others with humble devotion of body and life. So this karma comes from what? Using others, putting others down, and being very arrogant. And looking down on them, using them. When we do this, we generate the karma that comes back to us. We lose our own freedom. Dharmarakshita says this clearly. When we hear only language that is foul and abusive, this is the wheel of sharp weapons returning, full circle upon us from wrongs we have done. Till now we have said many things without thinking. We have slandered and caused many friendships to end. Hereafter, let's censor all thoughtless remarks. When we only hear people criticizing us, we only hear wrongs about us, we only hear negative things, we only hear bad reviews about us, we only hear only bad things about us. And it hurts. And it brings us down. This is the wheel of sharp weapons returning from the wrongs that we have done in the past when we have created relationships to end. We have said things to hurt people, to cut them down, to damage them. This is the wheel of sharp weapons returning. So if we do not enjoy the abuse, the negative talk, and the foul language, and the bad words that come to us, if we are not happy with that, how do we cut that karma off? Censor our own tongue. From now on. Control our speech, no matter how we feel. Make sure what comes out of our mouth benefits and not disbenefits. And when we do this, the karma to receive that will be purified, and we won't receive that. Karma, again, is not stagnant. Karma is not stagnant. Okay? So, Dharmarakshita is taming our minds by telling us why we experience this, where it comes from, and how to stop it. The result, the cause, and the remedy. Dharmarakshita is telling us. So if we believe in the law of cause and effect, there's a cause for the effect. There's effect, there's a cause. The cause resembles the effect. The effect resembles the cause. The cause, you cannot plant an apple seed and get an orange tree. So the cause and the effect are the same. Okay? Any questions? Any questions so far? Good. We'll do another 10 minutes and we'll be done. 1 hour and 15 minutes will be enough because it's heavy stuff. We've got to contemplate. Good. When we are born in oppressive and wretched conditions, this is the wheel of sharp weapons returning full circle upon us from wrongs we have done. Till now we have always had a negative outlook. We have criticized others, seeing only their flaws. Hereafter, let's cultivate positive feelings and view our surroundings as stainless and pure. So, are we born in oppressive and wretched conditions? Oppressive and wretched doesn't mean a third world country where you have no food and you're near toxic water only. Oppressive conditions can be in the middle of Hollywood, in the middle of New York, France, Tokyo, whatever. In Hong Kong, and you're in beautiful places, beautiful people, beautiful parties, everything wonderful, best cars, best food. And you're unhappy. And you feel it's plastic. And you're stuck. And you're forced to participate, but you don't want to. That's oppressive and wretched conditions also. Because wretched and oppressive is subjective. Whatever makes our mind suffer is an oppression. So therefore, this comes from what? The negative outlook we have about people around us. Does it mean they don't have negative qualities? No. Everyone has negative qualities that can change. But to focus on that and to hurt them with it and to get them back with it is the karma that comes back, that we are oppressed in wretched conditions. So therefore, from now on, we hold our tongues, our criticisms, our sharpness, and we view everything around us as stainless and pure. It does not mean things are stainless and pure. It means to look for the best in everyone and to bring them happiness. That's what it means. So when we practice that, what happens? Our speech becomes more controlled. One facet of our speech becomes controlled. Then this leads to our mind becoming calmer. When our mind becomes calmer, we're more accepting and tolerant. This creates happiness for others and ourselves. Our relationships with people become better. Why does it become better? We become more tolerant. Some people might turn it around and say, hey, you're just lowering your standards. No. Lowering your standards is when you allow selfishness to run your day. Because your standards should not be selfishness. Your standards should be your true nature, compassion, wisdom, love, tolerance. And when you act opposite of that, you are lowering your standards. So hence, Dharmarakshita is telling us here very kindly, look at everything as stainless and pure. Then, when we are parted from friends and those who can help us, when we are parted from friends and those who can help us, this is the wheel of sharp weapons returning full circle upon us from wrongs we have done. Till now we have taken their friends and good servants of others away, wanting them for ourselves. Hereafter, let's never cause close friends to part. So when we experience loss, people going away, how has our actions and our speech contributed towards that? Dharmarakshita is telling us. To counter that, make people close. Repair people's relationships. Make husband and wife love each other. Make friends love each other. Make siblings love each other. Make parents and children love each other. Do your best to be the peacemaker. Do your best to create harmony in people around you. Do your best to make people close. When you do that, you create the karma to always have people around you to support you and love you and help you, even if you don't want it. It's cause and effect. When supreme and holy gurus find us displeasing, this is the wheel of sharp weapons returning full circle upon us from wrongs we have done. Till now we have turned from the gurus and teachings, preferred the counsel of misleading friends. Hereafter, let's end our dependent relations with those who would turn us away from the path. What is that saying? Whatever we do, our holy teachers or holy people, real people, find us displeasing. It could be even parents, good friends. Whatever we do good, really we did good, they find it displeasing. They can't see what we've done. They see the opposite of our intentions. That is the karma coming back from us following people who give us wrong advice as opposed to right advice. So when we follow people with wrong advice and we go that path, we create the karma that in the future, when a person comes to tell us good things, we hear it as wrong. And we turn away. So in this case, it's saying when your teachers tell you something, you don't listen, and you follow misleading friends, then in the future, whatever you do, your teacher will always see whatever you do as displeasing. That's the karma coming back. Okay? So from now on, that's a very good question. By learning more Dharma. How will we stop a rampant disease in the area? By learning how the disease arises. Example. Clean out the toxic waters. Don't have any waste foods around. People who are already sick, put them in isolation. Get medication. Clean water, clean environment. So if we learn how to get rid of the sickness in that area, we learn that we know how. But simply by saying, I don't like this disease, I don't like what's happening, and only wish that and get frustrated by it and never learn how to remove it, doesn't happen. So in your case, it's very good. Right now, it won't be fully possible for you to not listen to misleading friends. But if you study the Dharma, that's what we're doing right now. Already you're gaining some wisdom. So if you use the Dharma as a benchmark, you will be able to see what is misleading and not. And misleading friends sometimes don't even have bad intention. They also don't know. Correct? They also don't know. They don't even mean it. That's why we just drag each other down. So when you're near a teacher, you have a Lama, and you learn the Dharma, it's not the Lama that you worship. It's not the Lama you need to put in your suitcase and drag around. It is the Dharma teaching you receive, go back, contemplate, and put it in your mind. And then your mind changes. So your question is very relevant, but the truth is, right now you can't fully. But if you learn Dharma more, you'll be able to. You'll be able to not judge them, but discern. And instead of them pulling you down, you can bring them up. I can hang around anyone in KL. They're never going to make me disrobe. I can go to LA and hang out with the biggest of the big, and I will in the future. They're not going to bring me down. They're not going to make me disrobe. They're not going to get me drunk. They're not going to make me do drugs. They're not going to get me to do anything that they may think is good. They may truly think those things are good from their heart, but you can put me anywhere in the world. No one will drag me down. Is it because I'm so above it, I'm so holy? No. No. Because for the last 30 years, I've received teachings from my Lama. I've trained myself to know what will bring harm to myself and others, and what I should avoid. So I've trained for so many years, that's why I'm still wearing this in front of you. If I failed in my training, like I said, we'd be doing a movie together. Maybe we might in the future, but in my robes. But seriously, it's not a judgmental thing. It's a logical thing. So if I go with a group of people to clubs and all that stuff, you won't see me doing what they do. But neither will I judge them. But when I get them the next day sober, I give them a little Dharma talk. And maybe help them. Which I tried. Some of them worked, some of them didn't. Alright? So basically, we're going to stop here because all of you are new and a little bit at a time is very good. So go back and contemplate. I guess what I want to share with you tonight is Dharma, what Buddha taught, is very deep, very profound, and very enlightening. But the key to Dharma is this, is not to take it as a beautiful words, beautiful book, beautiful things that soothes the mind, but to apply it. If we don't apply it, it remains as beautiful words, and we're still angry. That's the key. And Buddhism does believe and take refuge in an outer powerful being, a Buddhas. But the refuge in an outer powerful being is not to save us or to help us or to rescue us. It is the first step of us rescuing ourselves. No God, no deity, no religion, no lama, no teacher, no pastor, no priest, no bishop, no monk can save us, help us, take anything away from us. If they could, Buddha would have taken everything away. That's unhappy. But monks, teachers, friends, Dharma practitioners can share the Dharma with you from their heart, honestly, logically, in your language, meaning layman's language. And if you think about it, your minds will turn. Turn from what? From bad to good? No. From this habit to another habit that creates happiness. Whatever unhappiness we created, definitely we don't want. Who wants unhappiness? Whatever unhappiness we have created came 100% from our own ignorance. How do we eradicate that ignorance? We don't get dragged down. Learning the Dharma. Think of a person who is educated and not educated. There's a big difference. So therefore, if we want to know more, be more, practice more, and make a difference in our lives and the lives of others, learn the Dharma first. You don't have to do serious study like in the monasteries, like what we're doing right now. There's internet, read. Ask questions. Learn. Contemplate. Get information. Get information to know how to fight your enemy, yourself. If we continuously think our enemy is on the outside, our uncontrolled states of rebirth and unhappiness will continue. If we continuously think that our enemy is on the outside, then our uncontrolled states of rebirth and uncontrolled states of mind of unhappiness will continue. If we recognize the enemy is on the inside, our unhappiness doesn't stop, but it's the first step toward unhappiness to stop. So Buddhism is very reflective and inner and very deep because it makes us take responsibility. And that's the hardest thing in life, to take responsibility, to make that step. Why? Habits are hard to break, and we're happy being unhappy. A lot of us are very happy being unhappy and not even knowing it. So this is how we get teachings from our teacher in the past, 30 years of it. Today I share with you one of my most favorite teachings, the mind training teachings. And the mind training teachings in this case is from the lineage of Dharmarakshita down to Atisha, and then Atisha to Drom Tonpa down eventually to Lama Tsongkhapa, then to my teachers and to me. So today I share with you one of the most precious teachings of Tibet, in short and little. These books are for you, it's a gift. Please go back and read through those. You may think, well, I may not understand everything. It doesn't matter. Better to understand 30% than none. Go back and read it. Dharma books are precious. For you later, when we receive a Dharma book, when we have a Dharma book, we make sure our hands are clean. We touch it on our forehead and revere the contents. Then after finish reading it, we touch it to our foreheads. Why do we touch our foreheads? May the contents and meaning come to me. Then we always keep it in a high place, in a clean place. We don't throw it here, throw it there. If we keep it on shelves, we should keep it with other Dharma books or separate. We don't keep it with secular books. Why? These are books that bring you to enlightenment and higher states of mind. So your Harley Davidson magazines could be separate. They bring you to nowhere. So Dharma books, I have a shelf like in the jungle right now, in my little room. I have a shelf. The bottom part's for my secular books, my ghost stories and all that. I love it. But on the top, I put Dharma books. The Dharma books should never be stepped on or thrown on the floor or stepped over. When we show why? Dharma books are more precious than Buddha statues. Dharma books give us knowledge. Buddha statues at our level cannot speak to us. So what we want is knowledge. Knowledge creates the Buddha within us. So therefore Dharma books are very great treasures. That's why in Buddhism, sponsors love sponsoring Dharma books. The more books they sponsor that people can get, when they read, people get knowledge, they transform. They change society by sponsoring books. Okay, so this is a wonderful, precious Dharma book. That's one of my favorites for the last 20 years plus. So today I'm very happy to be able to give you a little bit of explanation on this. And these are mind training teachings, which are directly related to bodhicitta, which is the first word you told me, and related to a bodhisattva's way of life. What is a bodhisattva's way of life? A bodhisattva is a person who aspires to live for others as opposed to for themselves. So a person who lives for others as opposed to themselves, or aspires to be, is living a bodhisattva's way of life. And a bodhisattva's goal is to achieve bodhicitta. And bodhicitta is the mind that never moves from benefiting others. This is the first step. Any questions? Any questions? Good. We got little scholars here now. Yes, of course you do. Paris is famous for questions. She's been questioning me for years. Go ahead.
Within each verse, as to each cause, the effect would again vary depending on the person, right?
Yes.
We're acting towards a guru,
Yes.
to a sangha, or to
Definitely.
a person. Then
Definitely.
the rectification would change as well.
The rectification and the results will change, but you take this as generalities. So if you speak this way, you create this cause. If you act this way, you create this. If you treat others with disrespect and always treat them badly and look at them lowly, in the future you will be oppressed. You will be always in a situation where you have no control of your time and yourself. So of course, if you do that to a highly realized being, it would be even worse. It could be the 3 lower realms. So you take that as a general way of following karma. Do you understand? But if you do that with a good motivation, example, Milarepa Marpa totally oppressed Milarepa. All right? But instead of both of them suffering, they both became Buddhas. Because the motivation is different. This is general. General public, general ignorance, general. All right? There's always exceptions. This is a good question, actually. There are always exceptions. Okay? Good. Any other questions? Good. Let's do a dedication. Dazo jine sabe gewandi chan ga bandan jeba jeson lo san cha ba yi tenbe himbo li de sa she sho chan ju sin jo ren bo je ma jen pa na chi gi chi che pa ne pa me ba yang go ne pa wa do ni do wa ren bo je ma jen pa na chi gi chi che pa ne pa me ba yang go ne pa wa How come you guys are not chanting? Dazo jine sabe gyawandi chandan zho kundang gambandan jeba jesang lo san zha ba yi tenbe himbo li de sa shish chanju sin jo rinpo je ma jen ba na chi ki chi che ba ne ba me ba yang guan ne ba wa shang do ni dong wa rinpo je ma jen ba na chi ki chi che ba ne ba me ba yang guan ne ba wa shang gyawandi nyu de da lama san je zhe ge ne zho chi gen ma lo ba li sa la go ba sho chu ji je bo zong ga ba chu ji na ba pe ba la yin jin jian ma xie wang dan jin jian ma long cao wang shu da dang ji sin de sun dan zhe wei zuo ni la de ne jie wa lao zang zha ba yi dian ba yu ling ba zhi ji. Very good. Very, very good. We have sealed the deal by dedicating the merits of teaching and receiving teachings. That's very good.
Still trying to figure out what is this sharp weapons.
Oh. What do weapons do to us? They hurt us. If a weapon cuts us, stabs us, penetrates us, doesn't it hurt us and damage us? Okay, so that's one weapon. Imagine a wheel, and every part is a weapon. Every part you touch, you cut yourself, and you hurt yourself. The wheel of sharp weapons is likened to our ego and anger. That whatever we do with it, in whatever situation, we hurt ourselves with it.
It's a both way, or?
So the wheel of sharp weapons is not actually a wheel of sharp weapons. It is symbolic of how our ego and anger hurts us and everybody around us constantly. So it's like a wheel of weapons Whereas if it's just one weapon, if we grab here, we'll be safe. But if we grab here, we'll be cut. If it's a wheel, wherever we grab, we get cut. So ego, anger, selfishness, self-centered mind is likened to a wheel of sharp weapons where it always comes back to us. So if I'm nasty to him and very mean and cheat him, I get that immediate satisfaction. But it will return back to me and get me more. So wheel of sharp weapons is actually likened to the return of karma. Karma coming back. So it's not an actual wheel. Okay?
Like a wheel, is it both ways?
Yes. So wheels do what? They turn. They turn, they rotate. So this rotates back to us. I guess the name of the book is very sharp because it's telling us where our pain comes from, where our problems come from.
From ourselves.
That's right. And as I was telling Allison just now, if we have just a sword, we can avoid getting cut if we just hold on to the handle, right? But if it's a wheel full of swords, it's going to be pretty hard, isn't it? So what is that telling us? With ego and self-centeredness, it's pretty hard to avoid getting back pain. Deep, isn't it? It's pretty hard to avoid getting back problems and giving problems. Because ego is like a wheel of sharp weapons. And the karma that arises from that is like a wheel of sharp weapons. So that explains why most of the time we're unhappy.
Because something we've done in the past has come back.
Yes. And this is the horrible thing. We didn't even know we did it. Because it's ignorance. That's why I always joke with people. We're so happy being unhappy. What does that mean? Who wants to be unhappy? So why do people stay unhappy? It seems they're happy being unhappy. It's my little own sarcasm. So real sharp weapons is likened to that. And what I want you to do is now is I don't want you to get too heavy with yourselves and say, okay, I'm going to go out and eradicate my selfishness. It's not possible. Not overnight. To remove a disease, health, sleeping, what you eat, exercise, medication, maybe surgery, all must be followed out thoroughly for potential for healing. If we do one or do two or not all, not possible. If we do all half-heartedly, not possible. So regime, exercise, sleeping, rest, food, medication, doctor, treatment, surgery, we got to do it all to get well. Similarly, just looking at the medicine that can heal you, but not taking it, you won't heal. You can have cancer, and you can hold the medication in your hands, and you go and take a picture of the doctor, and put it on the altar and worship the doctor, and offer incense to the doctor, and praise the doctor to people, and print books about the doctor, and let everybody know, but your disease still won't heal. Why? You have to internalize the medicine. With Dharma, people love the Dharma. Buddhism is the second fastest growing religion in America. Very fast. Reader's Digest. So we love the Dharma teachers. They're fabulous, they're funny, they're full of wisdom. The Dalai Lama is beautiful, he's a man of peace. We love that. We love him. Then what he talks about suits our mind. We'll pay tickets to go to stadiums, go listen to him. 40, 50, 60,000 are at his sold-out Dharma talks. All over America. Easily. Every time. The last teaching he gave in America was on the front lawn of the White House. Right there, he gave teachings. We love to hear it because it suits our mind because it's the truth. And we put Buddha statues on the altar, we offer incense, we worship. Where does it get us? It's good. It's a step. But to actually take the teachings and check our minds makes a big difference. And then applying it. That means, what does applying mean? Now you know what is the cause of your problem. Now you know. The next time you want to act in a way you know will not bring you benefit in other people, and you still act it, then you're just holding on to the medicine you like and not taking it. But the next time you know now this action will bring you unhappiness, and you fight it, and you fight yourself to not do it again, then you're taking the medicine, you're on your way to healing. So the first pill, the first chemotherapy will not heal your cancer, but if you continue. So if you give up your chemotherapy, it's pretty much giving up your life. So if you give up your Dharma practice, you pretty much give up happiness. Why? It's not the acceptance or giving up of Buddhism. It's acceptance and giving up of what creates unhappiness for you, which is selfishness. So when you give up the practice of destroying selfishness, you pretty much have resigned yourself to being unhappy. So here the issue is not you accept Buddhism and you tell everybody, oh, I can't give up Buddhism, I'll go to hell if I do. It's not about that. You can practice Buddhism without being a Buddhist. It's about your actions. It's about the results. And it's about the mind that creates that. So when you give up attacking and changing that mind, pretty much you have to expect and resign to a lot of unhappiness. So we think, before I enter Dharma, how's my life been? Has it been peachy and wonderful, and I've made better and better for myself? Materially, maybe I did all right, but mentally, am I growing or degenerating? Mentally, am I growing or degenerating? That's how we must think. So therefore, admiring the doctor, the Buddha, keeping the medicine near us, the Dharma, and praising the nurses, the Sangha, will never heal our disease. We have to internalize it. We have to sleep, rest, go for treatment, take medication, surgery, follow the good doctor's orders. Then the chances of healing is very high. Therefore, we must listen to the Dharma, follow our teacher. Follow our teacher doesn't mean physically follow everywhere. Follow means the teachings you have received, internalize. Your teacher can be passed away, you can still be following your teacher. Very devotedly, with a strong Guru devotion. Because following your teacher is not a physical following. And whenever an afflictive emotion arises within you, face it and firmly avert it. It is very hard. Do you know why it's very hard? Because you trained yourself very well. That's all it is. So it's just a matter of retraining. Look, if we don't go to the gym for 20 years and suddenly we go, it's very painful. But after a few months, it gets better. So the mind, same thing. Your mind is not 20 years out of the gym. Your mind has been hundreds of years out of the gym. Because if you've been practicing Dharma strongly, you would have found Dharma much earlier and started much earlier. Results resemble the cause. Very simple. So therefore, today you have received some Dharma talk. It is from my heart. It is something that I learned from my teachers. And you are alert, comfortable, able to receive. What's your job now? Think about it and apply it. For me, religion is simple. It's not about who's superior and who's right and which is the right God. For me, religion is, if you're kind and compassionate and tolerant, you're religious. If you're not, you can argue until the end of time whose God is real and whose religion is real. In the end, we just blow each other up. So for me, religion is simple. It's not about who's right and wrong. It's about what's your result. What is the result of your religious practice? Some people say, I don't need religious practice. I don't need religion to be a good person. That's true too. I accept. I accept and I believe. Because there are very good people without religion. Then you say, then why do you teach us religion at all? Because it's different for everyone. Some people need religion to become better. Some people don't. Some people need this religion. Some people need that religion. It's up to us. That's why I don't judge which religion is better or if religion is necessary at all. Hence, Buddhism can be a way of life. What's a way of life? It's to live our lives for others. Whether we accept the Buddha or not, the teachings remain the same. Whether we accept a Buddha or not, the teachings remain the same. If we accept the Buddha, the teachings become our potential, meaning we will become a Buddha. If we don't accept the Buddha, then we cannot accept the Buddha within us. If we cannot accept an outer Buddha, we cannot accept an inner Buddha exists. If we cannot accept an inner Buddha exists, we cannot become a Buddha, because we don't accept it can exist. Hence, when we practice Buddhism as a way of life, we make our lives happier, but we don't become a Buddha. When we practice Buddhism as a religion and accept the Buddha, then we accept the Buddha in us. What's the Buddha in us? The real potential in us to be a Buddha. Everybody understand that? Think for a moment. So, I will transform my mind. I will be the most beneficial person for others. I will use my life for others. I will accept hardship for others. I will accept difficulty for others. Though I will complain from time to time, I will still do it. And I will train my mind to do more. I will do this in order to transform my mind into a fully awakened state of a Buddha, so I may become a Buddha to be of even more benefit to others. Therefore, I do these practices. 1. Second, I will do these practices and transform my mind because I have made myself and others unhappy, and I wish to live the rest of my life happily. And I wish everybody around me who comes into my presence to go away happy. Therefore, I will practice these teachings. 2 motivations. The first one is when you accept Buddha and practice. The second one is when you take it as a way of life. Of course, accepting a Buddha and practicing is superior because why? It doesn't lead to a happy mind. It leads to enlightenment. That's the difference. So Buddhism is very, very versatile. Very. Buddhism is the only iconography, it's the only image or iconography you can put everywhere that denotes peace. People put Buddha in gardens, people put Buddha in bars and clubs. Buddha bar. In Singapore, I was amazed there was a Buddha bar. One of my friends brought me in, there's Buddhas everywhere. Very nice ones, I wanted one for my altar. Anyways, there was a Buddha bar. But what is to know peace? So it can be a way of life or religion. Okay, do you guys understand that? Any questions? For now? If you have any questions, you can let me know in the future. I will answer them, even if you're in America. Don't worry. I may not be psychic, and I can't astral travel to you, but we got email. Thank goodness. Unlike the high lamas of the past, we can astral travel and appear to you in your bedroom when your time needs us and answer your questions. I've only got email, sorry.